everyone, Dr. Maiden here with a video that answers the question, if I study abroad, do I have to study something? Okay, so the question of this video is, if I study abroad, do I have to study something? And the answer is no. So I hope that's helpful and have a great day. Right? I'm just kidding. Sorry, that's weak humor. It's Friday and I'm tired. No, you do not have to study something when you study abroad. So let's break down some of the things that you can do if you decide you want to study abroad. So, yes, we call it study abroad because that is often what students do. You can, number one thing you can do when we should say just go abroad. If you go abroad, you can study. Study can mean a lot of different things though. You can study in the sense of you actually enroll at a university in another country and you take classes at that university. You could go, to University of Cambridge, University of Tokyo, Cape Town University, wherever you want. You could be picking classes and taking them and studying in that sense. So yes, you could be studying. You could be studying in another sense if you're wanting to do something like, say, study languages. There's all kinds of scholarships that are available, really cool scholarships. I can link to a couple of below. The CLS is a big one, the Critical Language Scholarship, the Boren Scholarship. I did that my junior year as an undergrad. Those are language-intensive study programs. So yeah, you do have some flexibility, more with the Boren than the CLS. You do have flexibility to study just language. So yes, you can study when you do go abroad, but you don't have to study, whether it's regular classes or language classes. You can also do something like research. You can be doing archival research. We often call that study abroad, but you don't have to be studying. Maybe you're in an archive somewhere. I had a friend that was doing that. I've had many friends that have done that. They spent almost a year and they were just going through archives in Canada. I've had friends that have done it in Italy. This is depending on your discipline. This could be the expectation of what you're doing. If you're a political historian, you're going to be doing this. If you're within political theory, there could be a lot of that archival research. So yes, you could be doing you're studying in a sense if you're doing research. So study, research. You could also do something like internships. So you could go, I've worked with many students that have done this. They will go abroad in order to do an internship. So, even my cousin, she did internships with some different human rights organizations, human trafficking organizations in Austria, in the UK, right? There's lots of different opportunities for you to feel like I'm getting real world, applicable, practical work experience through an internship. Sometimes these can be paid, these can be unpaid. There are even entire programs where I went at the University of Notre Dame. They have a master's program in peace studies, and that's an expectation. It's you will be spending time in the field in an internship capacity, because the whole point is they're wanting to prepare you for a practitioner focused career where you can say, I can actually do this work. I have done this work. I've gone to Israel, I've gone to Uganda, to Colombia, and been active in the field. Okay, so you can study, you can research, you can intern or work. You can also do something like teach. Teaching is a really common thing that people will do to get themselves out of the country, get themselves overseas. A big one is teaching English. There's a whole host of programs. I mean, really the sky is the limit in terms of how many different programs there are of varying lengths. Maybe you want to teach children, like school-age children, high school-age children, university, adults. There's so many different programs. Depending on where you go, depending on the nature of the program, it will depend on if you need to also have some kind of competency in another language. So for example, there might be an expectation that if you are going to do some type of program where you'll be in a Spanish-speaking country, they'll expect you to speak Spanish well enough to function on top of your role speaking English, okay? Other programs or other countries are not going to have that expectation. If you're wanting to go teach English in Thailand, they are not going to expect that you know a word of Thai and you could still be part of that program. So it all very much depends on the program as to what they're expecting. So you can teach. There's, I would say, one of the coolest programs for that, one of the most prestigious programs for that is called the Fulbright English Teaching Assistantship Program. I'll link that down below. I'm going to do a whole host of videos about that particular program. I'm very well versed in it. I've done a lot of work with Fulbright ETAs over the years in my professional capacity as a grants and fellowships advisor, but that is one where you are partnered with schools in other countries to be teaching English. And there's a range of who you're teaching, what type of things you're teaching, how much teaching you're actually doing. So you can teach. Another thing kind of linked to this idea of teaching is you can volunteer. So there's a host of programs that do this, all kinds of different volunteering opportunities. I'm going to link one down below, and I'm actually going to do a little separate video on it here in a couple of weeks or so. So there's one that I personally like, I have vetted, I've known a number of students that have done it, I have done it. It's a program called IVHQ, International Volunteer Headquarters. So the thing with this organization is, yes, they are a middleman organization, so you are paying IVHQ. IVHQ is running everything, but the kind of nice thing about it is IVHQ is also vetting everything. They're vetting all of the in-country partners. They're vetting all of the homestay situations that you might do, the living situation that you might have, the food, the staff at the home where you might live. If it's like a collective, all the volunteers live and share and work in a home. So they take care of a lot of the work for you of making sure that you have a very safe, very organized, very structured program. Most of the programs, they have countries all over the world. I particularly did the one to Zambia. I did some teaching for a couple of weeks over a summer. They range in length, and so you can get really creative as well. Like one of the people that I volunteered with in Zambia, she was actually doing 3 months, 3 months, 3 months. I can't remember where. I think it was something like Peru for 3 months she had already done. So when she came to me, she started at the same time, it came to Zambia, started at the same time as me. She was doing 3 months in Zambia, and then she was going kind of a world tour. She was doing 3 more months in Nepal before she went back and started her first year of college. So this was a pretty cool girl. She was fresh out of high school, wanted to see the world, wanted to take a gap year before she got into her college program, and was doing 3 months, 3 months, 3 months all around the world. So that's pretty cool. And so you can volunteer. In the case of IVHQ, you can do everything from volunteer with local NGOs that do things with refugees. You can do agricultural type programming, special education programming, community development programming, a host of teaching. They have things on like marine conservation, so you could be in Madagascar on an island doing really cool stuff with marine conservation. There's all kinds of different programs, and they'll range in price as well. So you're typically paying by the week or by the 2 weeks, depending on the program. But that's just a way for you to get out there, be volunteering, get some experience under your belt, cultural experience, language acquisition experience, and kind of similar to an internship, like relevant practical experience. So those are some of the things that you can do. When we say study abroad, we don't just mean studies. Like, yes, you can study, you can research, you can intern work, you can teach, you can volunteer. There's a host of things that you can do that fall under that umbrella of study abroad, but that's the term we tend to use for it. If you have any questions about this, you can comment down below. If you're one of my students, you can email me. Always, again, I'll say this in a lot of my videos, I am always happy to chat, especially when it comes to study abroad. I'm such a huge advocate of it. I love it. And I should clarify, when I studied abroad, not all my programs involved me studying abroad. I did four times in 3 years. 2 of those 4 were actual studying. Went several times through my graduate school career. None of those were studying. Those were all research trips. Okay, so even when we say study abroad, you have to peel behind the curtain a little bit here and see what we're actually doing. All right, anyway, so that's about, do I have to study if I study abroad? Hopefully you find this helpful, and let me know if you have any questions.